Hello guys, and welcome back to another tutorial. So in today's video we're going to be doing the sewing part of this corset top. If you missed the last video where I showed you how to draft this corset top, I'll have it linked in the description box below, so you can go check it out before watching this one. So let's get right into the video. So for the front piece, you can see that I went ahead to cut out organza fabric, and as I said earlier, you can work with organdy for this to get a firmer finish. And we went ahead to cut out 2 pieces of this, and you can also go ahead to make it as much as 3 layers, and we're going to go ahead to stitch it all the way around just to hold everything in place to place our bonings. After we're done, this is what it's looking like. Now I went ahead to cut out strips of fabric for our boning channels, and this is wide enough to fit our boning in. So I'm going to go ahead to just start placing this down, and while I place this down the desired way I want it to stay, I'm going to go ahead to pin it down just so I am able to sew on it properly and nothing moves while I am sewing. After pinning this down, we're going to go ahead to sew, holding everything down and making sure you're doing this patiently and very neatly. So after sewing, this is what we have. This is what the boning channels is looking like. Now we're going to go ahead to set this aside and work on the bust area. So you can see this is what the lower part is looking like. I already went ahead to do this. I'm going to go ahead to show you guys how I was able to achieve this basket like effect. So I'm bringing in the other piece we haven't worked on yet, and we are bringing in our strips of fabric we initially cut out. So guys, I just want to add that the fabric strips we are going to be using for this basket effect was cut out on fold, and we did this cutting out 2.5 inches. The length is as long as you would like it to be. This is because we're going to be cutting this out as we go to create the shape in case the ones we have initially is not enough. Now I'm going to lay this down like this, and then I'm going to bring in another piece. Now you can see that I placed it on top of the one we laid down initially. Bringing in another piece, we're going to lift the one we laid down initially, and we're going to be fixing that underneath it. So the way we are going to be doing this is one is going to be at the top, another at the bottom, the next one at the top, and another at the bottom, all the way to the very end. Now I'm going to go ahead to trim off the excess we have here, and we're going to use that for the front part we had initially. So we're placing this on top. So this is what it's looking like. Now we're going to go ahead to place the next one on top the way I explained earlier, and the next one that's going to come is going to be at the bottom part. Now I'm going to go ahead to take this long piece we have here, and we're going to place it at the top like this. So this first part is going to be on top, the second part is going to be underneath. So I'm going to lift up the one we have there, and we're going to take that part underneath like this, and the next one here is going to be at the top. So we're going to take this part here at the bottom part. So this is what we have. We're just going to continue in this motion till we finish up everything. So we are going to go ahead to finish it up, and we'll have something like this we have here. So I'm going to go ahead to do this. After fixing in everything, this is what it's looking like. If you missed anything or you're confused, please let me know in the comments, and I'll try to answer any question you might have. Now I'm going to go ahead to just pin everything down just to secure it for us to sew it round. So I'm going to go ahead to pin this all the way around. After pinning this down, we're going to go ahead to sew this all the way around, but you're going to do this from the opposite side, which is this part here. We're going to hold it down, and then we're going to trim out the excess. After trimming everything out, we're going to bring in the bust, the upper part, so we can sew it together. So I'm just going to place everything accordingly where they are supposed to be, and then we're going to use our pin to pin everything down to enable us sew this better. Now we're going to go ahead to sew this all the way down by 1/2 inch, and we're going to do the same thing for this piece as well as the lining pieces. So after sewing it together, this is what we have. This is what they're looking like, and you can see this one has no structure, but the other one here is quite firm, as you can see, and that is because we went ahead to add in our corset cup. So we're going to go ahead to do the same thing and add in our cup for this one. So we've added our ready-made cup to the bust area. Now we're going to take our Duchess fabric, and then we're going to use this to drape at the top part of the cup we have here. So I'm just going to try to drape this fabric at the top part here. So we're just going to drape this, and as we do this, we're going to be pinning this down as we go. So guys, after draping this is what it's looking like, and you can see that the drapes, we have them going down instead of going up. So now after we're done draping this, we're just going to go ahead to trim off the excesses we have at the sides there. Now we're going to take this to the machine to sew this down, just so everything we have draped stays in place, and we're doing the same thing for the other part as well. So this is what both cups are looking like. This is what we are having. Now we're going to go ahead to fix this to our main bodice. So to fix this, we're first of all going to create a notch at the center part of our cup, just so we know where the midpoint of the cup is. And we already made the notch at the main bodice, so we're just going to pin this to the main bodice, making sure the notches are matching each other. So now we're going to go ahead to pin this all the way around so we can take this to the machine to sew. After pinning this down, this is what it's looking like. So we're going to go ahead to take this to the machine to sew all the way around by 1/2 inch, and we're also going to do the same thing for the other part. So after sewing, this is what we have. This is what the front bodice is looking like. Now we're going to go ahead to fix in our yoke, and like we did earlier, we're going to create a notch just to know where the center part of our yoke is, and then we're going to pin it down like the way you see me doing right now. So I'm going to pin this all the way to the other side as well as the opposite side, so we can take this to the machine to sew. Now we're going to take this to the machine to sew by 1/2 inch all the way down. So after sewing, this is the final result. I also went ahead to add in our lining, and I used the organza fabric as bias just to close up the edges to create a neat finish at that point there. So this is what it's looking like. Now we're going to go ahead to start fixing in our boning to the boning channels. After fixing our boning, we're just going to seal up the bottom part of the top. I'm bringing in this bias. This is about 2 inches wide, and we're going to just cover up the bottom part. So I'm going to go ahead to do that. We're going to fold it in, and then we're going to sew just the way we would bias the other parts. So after doing that, this is what the bottom part is looking like. You can see this is what the back, the wrong side is looking like as well. Now I'm going to bring in my lace cutouts, and we're going to use this to just sew on the bottom part to create that effect we have at the top part. So I'm going to insert the picture so you know what I'm talking about. So we're just going to pin the lace trim out at the bottom part here, the way you see me doing right now, and we're going to pin it to the very end. After pinning this down, we're just going to take this to the machine to stitch down. After pinning this down, we're going to take this to the machine to just stitch on top like I said earlier. So we're going to stitch all the way to the other side, and then we're going to work on our back piece. So for the back piece, what we're going to do is very simple. We're just going to take our yoke, and then we're going to pin the yoke to the back piece, and then we're going to sew by 1/2 inch to join them together. So guys, after attaching our lace cutout to the bottom part, this is what it's looking like. Now we're going to go ahead to bring in our back piece to join this to the front piece. So this is our back piece. We're just going to lay this right sides facing each other, and then we're just going to join the back and the front together. Take note that I've already went ahead to fix in my body measurement divided by 2. So that is what we're going to use to join the back and the front together. After joining the back and the front pieces together, this is what we have. You can see the lines we have there. So what we're going to do next is we're going to bring in the lining pieces for the back. So I brought in the lining piece for the back, and what I did is I placed it wrong sides out, and this is what it's looking like. You can see that the right side of the lining is facing the wrong side of our front piece. So now we're just going to stitch this following the joining lines we have at the front. So you can see how I'm placing this. The right side of the lining is facing the wrong side of our main front bodice. So we're just going to use the line we had stitched down already as a guideline to just sew accordingly. So we're going to take this to the machine to sew this following that line all the way down. After attaching the lining to the main bodice, this is what it's looking like. So this is what we have. We're going to go ahead to just trim off the excesses we have at the sides there. So after trimming off the excesses, this is what it's looking like. Now I'm going to open this up like this, and we're going to bring in the boning channels we had created initially, and we're going to place it down like this and sew. You can see on the opposite side that I already went ahead to stitch the one there all the way down. So we're going to do the same thing for this other one. So after sewing, this is what it's looking like. You can see what we have after we're done stitching down the boning channel. Now to close up the lining part entirely, what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over to the other side, and we're going to hold our lining pieces right sides facing each other and we're going to stitch by this point here all the way by 1/2 inch, and then we're going to flip it over to the other side, and then we're going to hold the closing part there, and we're going to sew that part as well all the way down to the other side, sandwiching our main bodice in between. So I'm going to show you again. We're going to hold it up like this, sandwiching our main bodice in between that, and stitch the top part here together. After stitching the top part, we're going to hold the opposite side, the opening we have here, and we're going to sandwich our main bodice downwards, so you're not stitching that along with this. And we're going to hold this like so, and then we're going to sew this all the way down. So when you do that, you should have something that looks like what we have on this other side here. And you can see on the other side, I also went ahead to create boning channels for our boning for the eyelet area. We're going to go ahead to do the same thing we have here on this opposite side. And when we're done sewing everything, this is what it's looking like. You can see what the right side is looking like as well as the wrong side. This is what we have so far. Now we're going to go ahead to just start fixing in our bonings to the new boning channels we have. So far, if you're confused about any of the steps or you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section, and I will do well to answer those questions. After fixing in the bonings, we're going to go ahead to join the shoulders together. So the way we would normally do this, we're going to hold the shoulders together, right sides facing each other, and we're going to take this part we have here, flip it to the other side, and then we're going to pin this down and take it to the machine to sew by 1/2 inch. And as usual, what you do for this part, you do for the opposite part as well. So guys, after joining the shoulders, this is what we have. This is what everything is looking like. Now we're going to set this aside and work on our sleeve. For the sleeve, I just went ahead to take our basic sleeve pattern and I placed this on our lace. The length we have here is about 24 inches long, and we're just going to place everything together. This is unfold, by the way, and then we're going to cut this out. After cutting, we're going to fix this to our top, and we are done. Okay guys, this is the final result. If you found this video helpful in any way, do not forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not yet subscribed already, and I will see you on the next video. Bye guys.